What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Petty Herbalist Podcast. It's your girl Karina. Just chilling. It is a very cloudy spring day. The birds are chirping away. I am in my house on the land of the Tongva people, also known as Los Angeles, California.
It's good to
Hey.
see you. Good to be seen by you.
Mm.
This is your girl, Asia. I am here on the Cheyenne, Ute, and Arapaho territories, also known as Aurora, Colorado, and it's good to be here with y'all.
Yay. Shout out to you. Shout out to you being the land of which I was born on. And I am wondering today what is going on in that medicine bag.
Mm. So, as you all know, I am still being worked by Lavender, and I've been doing different experiments to see what different preparations of lavender offer. So I could really feel somatically like what's happening in my body, and it's very fascinating. Like the areas that were activated from drinking my lavender tea were like the areas around my ears and like my chest and like my shoulders. I'm also doing a lot of bee medicine. Spring is the season
Mm.
of the liver and also the season of insects.
Hmm.
And so yesterday I attempted to make a propolis tincture, and propolis is a combination of the different waxes and resins that bees collect from plants. And they use it to seal sort of and insulate their hives. And so it's also known as bee glue, but it's really, really antiviral, antifungal, and it has really great wound healing abilities.
Mm.
Um, it's used in dentistry often because it can numb the tissues. It has an analgesic effect. Um, and I've been thinking a lot about the mouth because of our sweet sister Calais, and I
Hmm.
wanted to make sure that I had remedies on hand, um, in case mouth issues like thrush or something like that came up. So,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, it was a total disaster, y'all. Oh my God. I tried to make it with 100 proof vodka because I'm like, I'm not using grain alcohol. Nah. And propolis is a resin. Resins are either alcohol soluble or fat soluble and nothing else, right?
You
So 100 proof vodka is 50% water. And so it just
they
turned into,
laughed.
oh my gosh, it was on my hands, on the count. I couldn't get it off, so I'm running around with like sticky hands trying to type on Google like
Oh
how other
gosh.
people get propolis off because it's on your hands, so you can't use like goo off or some like chemical, right? Right. So it's like
Right.
it needs to be human safe because I don't want to poison myself trying to get the so I'm running around sticky, everything's sticky. I'm like, I ruined my kitchen, everything's ruined. Oh, but luckily we had some isopropyl alcohol because I was like, okay, it's fat soluble, so I tried to get it off with olive oil. No. And I was like, okay, it's alcohol. So what's the highest proof alcohol I have in the house? And it was isopropyl alcohol. And I was
Was
like,
it
well,
70%?
it was 70%,
Hmm.
which is a lot more than 50%.
Hmm.
And ooh, the way that isopropyl alcohol dissolved it. So I was like, okay, so I could. So, anyways, I just started researching propolis and what I might use it for, and decided to make instead a propolis infused oil,
Mm.
because it has really powerful wound healing abilities within 24 hours. And so um, I decided to do sort of a hot bath method,
Mm.
where you put the propolis in a jar, and then you put that jar in like a 4 cup measuring cup, and then you put that, and then you fill that up with water, and then you put that in a in your slow cooker.
Mm.
But you have to measure the temperature because it can't get above 122 Fahrenheit. or you'll destroy some of the enzymes and things like that are in the propolis, and you want those in
Mm,
the medicine. And so you have to calibrate your system to make sure that your slow cooker doesn't get too hot and that it's able to maintain a steady temperature. But once you do, um, each of the water in the slow cooker versus the water in the 4 cup measuring container versus the water in the oil, they're all going to have different temperatures, and the oil temperature is going to be the lowest.
mm,
And so yeah, you put that in the water bath for 4 hours. I probably will do it overnight, just like an infusion, 4 hours or overnight.
mhm.
Um, and then you have this really powerful remedies that's able to heal, seal wounds in less than 24 hours. So that's what I'm up to.
Wow.
That's what's in my
Wow.
medicine bag.
So cool. Well, thanks
Yes.
for teaching us the things.
I'm really
Wow.
excited.
Yeah, I find that no one really knows what to do with propolis. I think people just like take it or eat it. And it's not the most tasty.
No.
Don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but it's, not the tastiest. So thank you for teaching us an alternative method of how we can use propolis, and informing us about its properties for wound healing. That's really cool. It's
Yeah.
interesting because lots of resins are used for wound healing.
hmm
Fascinating to me. Reminds me of our series talking about frankincense and myrrh.
Yes.
Um, but yeah. So thanks for that, babe. Also,
Absolutely.
um, as I get into my medicine bag, what's really cool about me in Asia is we be taking on each other's medicine. And so, because you've been obsessed with lavender, I was like, I want to be obsessed with lavender too. So I made some lavender. Well, also shout out to Suni of Auntie's Coffee. She posted this reel like with her making her famous lavender matcha lemonade. And I was like, ooh, I missed that lavender matcha lemonade. So I had to make some myself and I made a little reel for the girlies. And then Asia hits me up. She was like, wait, how do I make a lavender syrup but with honey? I was like, oh, I got you. It reminds me of Bloom and Plume because we had the honey lavender lemonade. Yummy.
Mm,
But we use butterfly pea to make it purple.
yes.
Um, what was I gonna say? But yeah, I did that. And then Asia was talking about the nutritional benefits of the apple peel.
Mm.
And she was talking about making applesauce by using the apple peel. So of course I had to go down to the grocery store and get a bunch of apples. And so yeah, yesterday I decored the apples and I threw them in a huge pot. And I don't have my slow cooker anymore because if y'all remember episodes ago, um the story of how my slow cooker broke. Basically I made the best beans in the whole wide world. But the ancestors wanted a an offering. And so yeah, my the inside plate shattered. So I don't have that anymore. So I just, took it to the stove and yeah, let that simmer for I want to say I put it on at around 11 and I took it off at around 6 p.m., 11 a.m. and then took it off at about 6 p.m. So yeah, cooked it nice and low and slow and with some cinnamon and allspice and oof, ooh, it was good. Or it is good. I have a huge batch. And so yeah, Asia, thank you for giving us that pointer, that tip. And so now I have the lovely medicine of not just the apples, but the polyphenols, the other things that you mentioned, which you can mention again if you want. that we can get from the apple peel. So thanks, babe.
Absolutely.
That was my medicine bag this week, is taking on Asia's medicine.
I love the way we flow together, sweet sis.
Yes, and also I would like to mention the medicine of having your best friends want to step up for you. Um my birthday's coming up. Shout out to me. And my I want to have a birthday party, but I'm just really overwhelmed because I'm a real working woman. And so I was like, I think I might postpone it. But then my best friends decided to stand up and say, we're gonna make this happen for you. And that made my heart happy. And um, yeah, it just it was medicine for my soul. So yeah, having best friends just, take on burdens for you because they love you is also medicine for me this week. So thank you, Asia, in
Mhm.
another way.
Yes. Yes. I learned from last year. I was like, oh, interesting. Well, this
Life
isn't
is hard.
happening.
Life
We
is hard. And listen, here's
I
the
gotta
tea.
stay ready so we don't have to get ready. I say
Here's the tea.
you get to break down in advance so that like we can like put you back together by the time the party starts.
Here's the thing. I am not a party planner. I mean, I could do it professionally, but I don't like to do it for myself, and I'm poor. So it's just like I really don't have it in me.
Listen,
And so, yeah, I would ideally hire Kyle to do every event.
every event,
Like,
I would hire Kyle to plan my nighttime routine. Okay.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and he would.
We
So
love
shout out to
Kyle.
Kyle.
Shout out to Kyle. Okay.
You know.
Um,
Oh, so yeah, amen. Shout out to homies, friends, all the things. I do want to give a special shout out that will segue us into our episode. Shout out to Dalton. Dalton is such an amazing person who has I think Dalton is like our number one supporter, I want to say.
Mhm.
Some of y'all might get mad and offended at that, but it's true. Also, actually, let me give another shout out to Gabby Romero. Gabby has been one of my friends since college, and I was hanging out with her this week, and she was informing her sister about um why we needed to eat cooked vegetables versus raw. So shout out to you, Gabby. Thank you for being a longtime supporter of us. And I want to go back to Dalton, because Dalton was shouting out our podcast to us and letting us know that this series is really exciting for them. And yeah, anything related to diet is something that, the girlies like to hear about. And so, yeah, y'all, we're continuing our series about veggie based diets. Last week we titled the episode Plant Based or Plant Based, and we decided we're plant-based. And this week we want to get into, a little something that Asia dropped off with us, letting us know or informing y'all that we the way that we eat is land-based, not necessarily plant-based. So Asia, can you explain to the folks what that actually means?
Absolutely. I want to start off by saying that it takes thousands of years to create a culinary, like a food culture. It is no joke. There
Mhm.
is death involved. There is bad pregnancies involved. There is war involved. It took our ancestors thousands of years to learn how to eat to live. There is thousands of years of specialized knowledge that's embedded in every traditional recipe. And because we hate women, then we hate the byproduct of their labor. Okay? And so the fact that you think that food just happens is a part of the overall sexism that we've been experiencing since Rome. Food, and especially the labor of those who prepare food, it hasn't always been women, but we know that this is a domain of the feminine, right?
Mm,
But food is really sacred, and food and recipes and cuisine and the people who hold those medicines, whether or not they chose to hold it or was it imposed on them,
mm,
these people is sacred, right? A recipe is a thesis that took 1,000 years for a culture to create for us.
mm,
And so we want to let y'all know that veganism is child's play,
mm,
okay?
mhm.
Uh, American cuisine is only 400 years old. If that, it's not old enough to be trustworthy. It hasn't had
Right.
enough time on it, right?
Mm,
Just a few years ago, people were telling you not to eat eggs. So people were running around tossing the yolk and
mhm,
eating the whites because y'all were listening to some idiot who told you that saturated fat caused heart disease when our ancestors have been eating saturated fat without heart disease for the majority of our experience on this planet, right?
mhm.
And this is what I mean about like Karina and I are land based. We're ancestral reverence. We do not center child's play. We center the elders and ancestral and elders, the wisdom that they have and the wisdom that they've passed down to us. So
Mm,
when we get into this conversation of what is ancestral nutrition,
mhm.
right? And for me, as a nutritional therapist, right? For me, as someone who is obsessed and loves food, look at my body. We are food
Hello.
people, okay? Um, there's a way, there's an epistemology, there's a theory of knowing that distinguishes how Karina and I approach food versus how food is approached in popular culture, right?
Mm,
And so what that looks like and what our theory of knowledge is very simple, right?
mm,
If your grandmama's grandmama didn't do it, then you don't do it either,
mm,
right? If you cannot find resonance in a traditional culture, it doesn't have to be an indigenous culture. Traditional peoples of Europe hold so much knowledge, right? Traditional
yeah.
peoples around the world hold so much knowledge, right?
Mhm,
Um, but if it's not grounded in that, it doesn't matter what the science is about. The science is too new,
mhm.
right? What's happening in a test tube is not the same as what's happening in a culture.
Right.
And so for us, the way that we validate claims around what's good to us and how to eat to live is that we don't have to make up anything new. We just look back at it.
Look back at it. Look
Hey,
back at it.
hey. So we look back at our ancestors to see if this is something we should be up to. We look
Mm,
forward to scientific knowledge because we acknowledge, right, how powerful it is and how grateful we are to have scientists thinking about food.
mm,
But that's not the golden standard. The golden standard is traditional food and traditional culture. And then we also look at the state of the earth itself,
mm,
right? To understand that the foods that our ancestors were accessing were completely different in their quality and lifestyle than the foods that we're accessing now.
yeah.
And so we have to triangulate, right? We have to look at the traditional wisdom, hear what the scientists have to say about it, and then locate ourselves in our actual ecosystem in order to discern. And discern is the word here, in order to discern how we choose to eat.
Mhm,
And so, ancestral nutrition is centering ancestral knowledge, ancestral wisdom, and complementing that wisdom with the current context and the research available to us.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. Um, that's why I really appreciate people like what's her name? She's like the black nutritionist.
Oh, we love Black nutritionists. She's
We love
great.
black nutritionists. And there's another nutritionist who's like Dominican. She's so cute. And she's like, oh, you're Latina nutrition. I'm screaming. She has this post that says, I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't need to explain why you're eating pupusas or mango to me. Period. It's true. You
It's
know,
true. I
when you
mean,
were, uh-huh, go ahead.
please, please.
Oh, I was just saying, like, Asia, you just said, like, think about what your grandmama's grandmama was eating. And if you are from Central America, your people were eating corn. So it makes sense that you're eating pupusas and pupusas that have cheese in it, lots of fat. And also it has that Loroco.
Oh,
Loro I love Loroco.
okay.
Loroco is like is it an herb or a vegetable? It could be either or. Yeah, it's a green that's so tasty. That's often paired with the cheese pupusas. But yeah, that makes
Mm.
absolute sense. And on the mango and hello, my grandmama's was definitely eating plantains, cooked and mashed, often with butter or like an olive oil and paired with pickled onions
Mm.
and fried cheese, and paired with a longaniza or a salami.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah, I'm never going to feel guilty about eating the things of that my grandmother's other ancestors were eating because it's interesting because when the science is actually done on the nutrient profiles of these meals, they're very high. Like remember we did a whole episode on plantains, on the soluble fibers and all the things, and we always talk about pickles and the importance of having this type of acid before you eat a carbohydrate. Shout out to the glucose goddess. So, anyways, our ancestors have been knowing what they're doing, and the science is now only validating it. So, I think you can rest assured that your grandmama's diet was a-okay with us.
That's true. And, what's important, when we say like we're not plant-based, we're land-based, right?
Mm-hmm.
What that means is all indigenous culinary traditions are based off of what the earth in their bioregion could provide for them. And
Right.
what's fascinating is that all of the key nutrients that you need to survive is available in every
Mm-hmm.
location that there is. It's
Mm-hmm.
fascinating. Whether you're getting your vitamin A from animal or you're getting your vitamin A from carotenoids, vitamin A is always available. The vitamin E is
Mm-hmm.
always available, right? Everything is always available, but it's available like within the context of that place. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the context of that place includes colonialism,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes the context of that place, so Loroco is a flower.
Mm.
It's an edible flower. Sometimes things like lactose or dairy are introduced into a culture, right? Because of their intersection with Europe. I told you, people say Indians worship cow. It's so stupid. Europeans love cows way more than
Yeah.
Indians do. Okay? Like everywhere they go, there's cheese, there's dairy,
It's
there's
true.
beef, period. Like it's not, it's like marker of colonization, but also what's important is like why is it when you go to the Mexican restaurant, do you got beans and then they put that little bit of cojito on there. They put that little bit of cheese on there. Why is that? Right?
Mm.
The reason is that one of the things we also see in land-based cuisine is a balance of proteins.
Right.
And while there's a number of proteins that are important to balance, the lysine, arginine ratios of our nutrition is what keeps us healthy, but specifically what protects us against a lot of the diseases that came from Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so our ancestors, in order to adapt to European diseases, especially things like in the herpes family viruses, right? Like chicken pox, HSV1, HSV2, shingles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, those diseases that came with the colonizers, right, often meant that the diet had to change in order to help prevent those diseases from arising, right?
Mm.
So plant-based diets are very high in arginine and very low in lysine, which is found in eggs, animals, and dairy.
Mm.
Arginine is found in things like chocolate, nuts, all the things that we're told are healthy. But every actual traditional culture, you'll find that they have found ways to balance that. It looks like chickpeas, which are the beans that are highest in lysine, with sesame, which is one of the, it's very high in arginine. And so hummus, right, is a food that's far more balanced
Mm.
in its lysine arginine ratio. It looks like yogurt with nuts on top of it, right? It looks like
Right.
beans with a little bit of cheese on top of it, or beans cooked with a little bit of meat,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually what balances those ratios. And so folks who are eating a plant-based diet have no idea, right, what's underneath the cuisine itself. There's no such thing as food substitutions.
Right.
When you're substituting a plant-based milk for actual milk, you're not able to actually accommodate for all of the different things that milk brings. It's not just that it's dairy, it's that it's totally different proteins and fats that have a role in the recipe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're thinking about adapting ourselves to the current ecological conditions, that also includes the ecological condition of colonialism and
Mm.
how, because our bloodlines have become mixed, then that means our culinary traditions must also become mixed. And that's
Right.
why we see that little bit of cheese throughout Latin America, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that being plant-based with European diseases doesn't actually serve,
Right.
right? It means that you'll be taken out and taken down. I have to counsel folks who have, herpes outbreaks, and it's like, you actually have to change your diet because your body thinks you're dying when you don't have animal proteins,
Mm.
don't have lysine, and that's why you're having outbreaks. So
Mm.
you need to eat a quart of yogurt a week. It could be goat, it could be A2, it could be raw, but you
Mm-hmm.
need, right? You need that lysine. So I just want to name that, like, even though colonialization has changed the food products that are available to our grandmother's grandmother, right? They were still adapting in real time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And over that 100 years, over that 200 years, they were still fine tuning how to make the new combination work. The combination of colonialism, the combination of what the ecosystem is providing, the combination of memory from their ancestors, and the combination of what actually works. Because what's wise?
Is what works.
Okay.
Wow.
So I just want to acknowledge that, right? And acknowledge that the foods that we love could be from other places, right? We know that plantains are from Asia, right? We know that cheese and dairy is big in Europe. We know that onion, like
Yeah,
savoy.
and also things are from multiple places because although the banana family is from Asia, it's also from Africa.
That's right. And that's an interesting thing because things
Hmm.
that we think are Asian in origin are often also African in origin too. Like
Yeah.
rice, right? We got
Hmm.
black rice and yeah,
A
no. Black rice is lit, okay? Black people are
period.
actually rice eaters,
Yep.
okay? Jollof matters, okay?
Yep. Jollof wars right now.
But yeah,
But
so
yeah.
we just wanted to share, like, that all sounds complex, and it is. except it isn't, because all you need to get it is to eat the food of the people of your land
Yep.
and or the food of the people that you came from in order to be in balance again, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yay. Wow, that was perfect. So yeah, next week we'll get into a little more of the details on how our ancestors actually put these foods together in the recipes that we know today.
That's right.
So I'm excited, but I think it's time to go into our bougie auntie word of advice. I guess I can go. My bougie auntie word of advice. Yeah, this was another big week for me. Big busy week. Just continuing the work that I'm doing that I can't let y'all know just yet. But yeah, I think that a word of advice I can leave y'all is um mm, I think we mentioned in uh wow, probably our sex is medicine, but at this point we have so many episodes. Shout out to us having 90, this will be our 97th episode. Shout out to us being out here, but in one of our episodes we discussed how women are like we have the 4 seasons in a month kind of thing.
Truly.
And it's really sad that we force ourselves to be super consistent when we're always changing, you know. And so this happened to be the season of menstruation for me this week. And I was like, yo, like why can't I go? Like I'm tired. um, I go to the grocery store, which is like 1.5 miles, I think. And so it's like a 3 mile round trip. And I was exhausted walking back. And I was like, oh, why am I so tired? I was just on myself. And then the next day, my period was like, hey, queen. And I was like, oh, damn, not you again. Um, but yeah, I allowed myself time to rest. And what's fascinating was, being or allowing myself to rest, I actually got to feel all the things that happened during like my first day of menstruation. So I'm like, okay, I got the headache, I got the sore breast. Oh, my legs feel weird. I feel like the contractions of like my core are also affecting like I kind of feel some contractions in my legs and all the things. And I was like, wow, it's so fascinating when I take the time to sit back and feel. I can actually, observe what's happening in my body, like these different seasons and changes. And I thought it was fascinating. So, all that to say, if you are a woman, a menstruating person who experiences menstruation, if you can, I want to invite you to sit back and see what's happening with your body, like observe. It's a fascinating time. It's painful, for a lot of people, but
Mhm.
it's cool to be the person who's seeing it happen. And yeah, it was just fascinating to me to be an observer. So yeah, just want to say, and even if you are not a woman or a person who menstruates, like, I don't know, just take the time to observe yourself in a moment, and see what it's like to actually be you. Like, observe your behaviors, observe your, I don't know, quirks, your intricacies. Like, what is it like to be your number one fan, you
Mhm.
know? See what that looks like. Hopefully, y'all can try that on this week. That's what I got for you.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. A similar thing happened to me. I was like, I don't want to get out of bed. I'm like, why am I being lazy? Like, just
Mm,
the normal script that you run on yourself. Like, my mood wasn't great. I was a little self-deprecating.
mm.
And I was like, I must have entered into the luteal phase. And it was true. It was like that day. It was just
Yep.
like, got it, right? There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with sad feels. and what we would call laziness is actually my body like, no sister, no.
Yeah.
I've actually had to modulate how I work out based off
Mm.
of the different cycles. So during sort of ovulation,
Mm-hmm.
the full moon, right? Or the summer
Mm-hmm.
of your menstrual cycle, then I do Pilates like 4 or 5 times in a week,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I know that when I'm in my winter, when I'm letting go of my, my
Mm.
egg,
Yep.
like that I'm not going to do Pilates at all, right? Like I'm only going to do floor yoga, right? I'm only going to
Mm-hmm.
do moon, right? Goddess sequence, right? But I've actually been changing my workouts depending on the phase that I'm in my cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps me to be kinder to myself, knowing that there are forces outside of me, inside of me, that are
Mm.
also shaping my mood and to honor, right?
Mm-hmm.
To honor my inner moon as much as people honor the outer moon,
Wow.
and to be guided by the inner moon, right? Our
Mm.
inner selves, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's a lot of things that are associated with like girls or women. It's actually our physical bodies that are producing different ways of being.
Mm.
And because our culture is immature, right? We
Mm-hmm.
blame ourselves instead of acknowledging that like what it means to be a life bringer. There's suffering involved with that. There's hardship involved with that. It's not easy
Mm.
having this capacity in your body, right?
Yeah.
So shout out to you.
Thanks, babe.
So my bougie auntie word of advice, I want to say like go with your own flow. Um,
I love that.
but I think what's really here for me is um I want you to laugh at yourself.
Mm.
I want you I want us to laugh. Like I um am looking at how seriously I've started taking myself and how much pressure like I put on myself. And I my girl Yuta had her 50th birthday and asked me to make
Hey,
4 cakes. And I was gonna make them all chocolate, and I make these beautiful, I got this recipe from Nigella Lawson. Oh,
shout out to
oh, we
Nigella.
love Nigella so much.
We sure do.
And it's an almond flour and olive oil cake. And so I made the most amazing I made like a lemon lavender cake. I made a pomegranate pistachio cardamom cake. I made a
Ooh.
chocolate rosemary cake. Um, and then I made like a chocolate rose cake.
Mm.
And these cakes were ugly. Oh my goodness. The way I sent Karina pictures of the cake, she's like, you did not cook these long enough.
Listen, I
And
didn't say it like that. I said you need to come on down to the Petty Patisserie and get some lessons.
but honestly, y'all, Karina was right. But there was also something that felt really liberating about like I'm an herbalist, like I'm a nutritionist, like I don't have to be perfect in every single area.
Mm-mm.
I put my heart and soul into those cakes. They were not
Period.
perfectly round. The edges were doing things, but it was honestly the best that I could do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had to laugh because I made 4 cakes and
You sure
they were
did.
so good. They were nutritious, but I
Proud of
just
you.
had to laugh at myself because they're we get to have we get to screw up, we get to not be good at it, we get to try our best and fail. We get to fail. And there was so much love in that failure. There was
Mm.
so much love in that failure. And so I want you to laugh. Karina is the person who taught me how to laugh at the devil.
You know.
And I want you to laugh as well. Spring is the season for that. And I think it's a great opportunity to um not be so serious.
Mm, yeah, I agree. Yeah, everything she said. I'm with it. Um, yeah, don't let her tell y'all that I be disparaging her because I don't. I be letting her do what she does, and then I'll be like, and I would add this, the next thing. But yeah, Asia been feeding me for a long time, and where are the complaints? There are none. Um, so yeah, be in your frequency. It's the best. It's everything. Um, but yeah. Speaking of support for those who we love, uh, just want to give a shout out to all of y'all. Thank you for, your little text messages and DMs and comments, all the ways that y'all support us for this podcast and just support us as people, as humans. Shout out to y'all who have money and who support us on the Patreon, patreon.com/petty herbalist. For those of y'all who support the production of the podcast, because this shit ain't easy, but we do it for y'all and we do it for us. And patreon.com/bones bugs and botany. Support Asia and all of the things that she be doing because it is a plethora of things. And y'all, if you're not on the newsletter yet, what are you even doing? Sign up now because you're playing yourself. And I just want to say that that last newsletter was so good. So if y'all are not on it, please get on it today. Sign up on Asia's website, bonesbugsandbotany.com. And do you have any announcements for the folks? I know you have some fun things happening real soon.
Yeah, so the Ecoversity Herbalism certification starts on the 17th of
Hey.
April. There's a link to enroll that I'll
Yeah, I
share
already
with
saw the targeted ads. I
you.
love to see
Wasn't I
it.
cute?
Yes, you are.
And also if you want to get in person with me with Yellow Doc,
Hey.
and really learn the medicine of Yellow Doc, I'll be teaching that with Denver Urban Gardens also on the 17th. And there's a lot. The newsletter is coming out soon, very soon. Um, and yeah, I can't wait to share with y'all some of the medicine of spring.
Yay. Love to see it. Um, I said in the last episode, I don't really have any announcements for y'all just yet. I have listened and learned, and I am going to do the Herbalism of Spices course online. Um, Shout out to y'all for really putting that out there. Don't have the time frame just yet, but know that I will. My life is a lot, and so we're trying to work the things around, but it's this class is like my favorite thing to do on planet Earth. So I will be prioritizing it real soon. And then I'm gonna see Asia real soon too. So that's gonna be my whole life.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, that's all I got for y'all. As far as announcements. We love and appreciate y'all so very much. And we will see y'all next week. But we just want to remind you to always
Stay ready.
and be petty. Bye.
Bye.